Hello guys and welcome back. So in this video let's take a look at how we can limit the movement speed in certain situations so that it becomes a little bit better looking when we move around. So for this I need to make a decision. Do I want to have my character be able to walk backwards, or do I want him to be able to run backwards? So depending on what you want to do, you need to adjust this a little bit to your needs. But I made a decision just a few minutes ago that I don't want to allow him to run backwards. So that's got to be a kind of if you have been chased, for example, there's got to be a way something that what do you call that? I don't know. A reason why you want to turn around and run like this. So I don't want to be able to like backward strafe running. But as mentioned, you can easily do this if you want. The idea is actually just to take a look at this blend space and see I have my forward axis going from -200 to 600. When I made this back a few videos ago, I didn't really think this through, but I just ended up doing this, so it's kind of unintentional, but I think it's what I'm gonna go with anyway. And in case you want him to be able to run backwards, you wanted to add something like this and then adjust these notes a little bit. And also change this to 6. So anyway, -200. I don't want to change this. So I'm gonna make a change to my my mannequin, my base character blueprint. I have this stuff up here saying already. I have the comment here: run disabled for now. The ease in and out. And actually, I made this in a previous video where I go from 200 up to 600 over 1 second, so he would speed up. I'm gonna change this back so that to something. I'm just actually gonna delete this. I don't want to do this stuff anymore, actually. So what I want to do instead is to know when I run, and I want to record that in a variable. So why I do this is going to be clear in just a bit. So I'm going to call this run pressed. Okay, I have that variable already. Great. Probably because I already made it. Anyway, so this one needs to be set to true, and this one needs to be set to false. Oops. Set to okay, and I want to set no. I want to set it to true, and when I release it, I want to set it to false. So that's all I want to do when I press my input run key. Okay, so the way I decided to handle this is going to be inside the handle forward movement, because the axis value tells me if I'm moving forward or backwards. So it's if I'm moving backwards, this one is going to be less than 0. So this one is always going to return 1 or -1 or 0, depending on what I press on my keyboard. So if this is a keyboard controller, of course. Anyway, this one we want to call a new function that we're going to make in this video. It's going to be called set max walk speed. Oops. So set max walk speed. I'm just going to put that inside my movement folder in here, so it's organized. And then I'm going to connect this up. So that's the first thing I'm going to do before I do any of all this stuff out here. And all that stuff, if you have seen my previous videos, you should hopefully know what they do. Otherwise, go check them out first. But you can also do this without all that stuff, just handling of the mainly the states in climbing and in cover, and so on. So let's continue with this one. So in here we want to constrain the speed based on if you run and also on your movement state. So this movement state, enum tells you if you are, for example, if you're in hanging state or if you're in cover mode. So we want to make some logic according to that. So inside this one, we want to take an input, and this one is going to be called the, let's call it the forward axis float, and we want to add a movement state. Okay, and we want to connect up the axis in here and the movement state in here as well. So we have them available inside. Okay, so I think what we want to take a look at first is if we are in cover or if we are in a hanging braced state. So we have a function for that called is in cover. This one, which actually just encapsulates this check here. So I'm checking if we are in cover or if we are in a hanging braced. I don't have a function for that, so I'm just going to say, are you in a hanging braced state? So let's say put in an OR and make a little branch here. Okay, so if we are in either of these two, we are just gonna say our movements or our character movement is gonna have a max walk speed of 100. I think that's what we have set it to before, and we need to eventually go down and clean up wherever I set this, because I remember I set it somewhere and I haven't really cleaned this up myself yet, but that's something you want to do. So if we are not in cover or in a hanging braced state, then we want to check, just make this check if we are running backwards or not. So we have the forward axis value here. How do you do that? Drag this one out and say, are you greater than or equal to 0? And then you have another branch, like this. And if we are, this is positive, then we want to say, okay, do we have our run pressed, the one that we just made? So here it hopefully starts to make sense why we made that variable. So this one run pressed, we're going to check if this is true. So off from this one, connect this one up and say, okay, if you are true, then we are okay by setting it to running. So we can duplicate this one or drag it around, depends on your preferences. I prefer to copy them since I don't believe it makes that much of a difference in performance. Anyway, while I do these tutorials, I think it's better just to make some redundant stuff somewhere rather than trying to make everything super optimized from the beginning. Okay, so we want to set the max walk speed. That's what I'm trying to do while I'm talking. It's not working so well for me. Anyway, we're going to set this to 600, which is our running speed. And if we are not having this pressed, then we want to set this to, I think it's 200. So drag this one up here and set this to 200. Okay, so that one needs to be connected, sorry. Okay, so so if we are not running forward, then we will actually always go into this one, because this one is the backwards walking speed, and that should set it to 200. So if we now play, I can walk backwards, and I'm holding down the run button now. I'm also holding run. I can't really run backwards now. Doesn't really help me anything, but I can still run forward, and I can strafe to the side, and I think it looks okay. And I'm just holding shift or my run key down, and when I try to run backwards, he just walks. He can still strafe and all that stuff in the running mode. So let's check how it looks in here. So now we have I can't really run in cover mode. So now we have a better cover speed here as well. So also in climbing, I can't climb fast. This is the speed we climb at. So I think that's quite a bit improvement. So it makes our character controller more realistic. And yep, I think that's it for this tutorial. I hope this made sense. Maybe I want to make sure that I, instead of setting these values directly, nope, these, because these are max values, so the transition is going to be handled by the movement controller. Never mind, sorry, ignore that. Alright, so that's it for this video. This is actually mostly what we made today in this video, but also we disconnected this run stuff up here in the event graph. So thank you for watching, and bye.